Good morning, gamers. Welcome back. So, we last left our adventurers in the Bone Grinder, ready to face off. And that's where we ended it. The last game, we did not have a last game. It was a combination of me being sick, one of the players being sick, and a couple of people just not being able to show up. It was just a... So, it was unfortunately no last game. So, I will discuss another game. I do play in 3. That's right, I am the AMDM Lee. This is my cup of coffee. And you're watching Order of the Scale. So, the last time we talked about Order of the Scale, I believe we talked about a TPK. So, finally, we'd had a couple of games missed because people just couldn't show up. Or I only had one player, and I was like, I'm not going to just run this with one player. So, this last game, last Thursday, we had 2 players show up. My chair keeps wanting to roll. Get over here. There we go. So we had 2 players show up. And because of the TPK, one of the players that got ripped apart during the TPK came up with a new character, which is a cleric of the trickery domain. And we have a ranger changeling. So they're off and about. And they come into... They're being sent on a mission because everyone else is doing a cleanup at a tomb where, unfortunately, several members of a squad got killed and torn apart. The TPK. So these guys were the only ones available to go check out a merchant claim along an old merchant road, an older merchant road. Somebody had come across an overturned wagon. Upon investigation, they were attacked. And apparently, this wagon has been repurposed as some sort of fortress. So the players go to investigate. They find the wagon. They check it out. It apparently has been boarded up, shielded up. There are now arrow slits in the walls. There's an entrance. There's a dead fox nailed to the side of it. There looks to be the beginnings of a moat. And a flag on top. As they get closer to it, arrows are shot forth. And they realize, okay, this is going to be difficult to do. After a few moments, they realize that these are goblins held up inside this wagon. They investigated the moat, and it was filled with some sort of gelatinous material. The goblins themselves have had armed the wagon with spears, with a hot oil spray, and arrows. So our players get hot oiled, they get skewered by spears, and just they get the snot beat out of them almost. They're finally able to try to shoot through the arrow slits to hit these goblins. After trying to convince the goblins to come out badly, they shoot some holes in through it, and are able to finally they knock some holes into it that are almost large enough to crawl through. The cleric goes down. So the ranger makes his way back over to where the cleric's at, pulls her to safety, force feeds her a healing potion, and then they proceed to they came up with a plan. The ranger has been hit with hot oil twice, so they take some of the oil-soaked clothing and tear it up and wrap strips around 4 arrows and light these 4 arrows up and burn the wagon to the ground. Once they just stayed there and watched it burn and just let it go, waiting to see if anybody would run out. Well, no one did. So upon investigating the burnt out ruins of this wagon, they discover a ladder leading down underground. Proceeding down here, they come up with a plan. The changeling is going to make himself look like one of the goblins, and the cleric is going to make herself look like a goblin. So as the changeling sneaks up, peeks around the corner, maps out 5 goblins on the inside. And proceeds to head into the room, missing the spear trap that was right at the entrance, which does significant damage to this one lone changeling. So as soon as that hits him, he's like, oh, frack. I don't remember if it killed him or not at that point. But then he is assaulted by the goblins. 2 of them rush up to grapple with him. While they're doing that, the other 3 fire their arrows. So the changeling gets grappled by 1, and then 2 arrows come and hit him, taking him down to 0. So now the changeling is dead. Or dying, I should say. The cleric comes bursting around the corner, uses, I think attacks one of them. No, the cleric comes around the corner and used inflict wounds on one of them and rolled really high. Now, if you know anything about inflict wounds, it is a 3d10 touch attack. A goblin only has 7 hit points. So needless to say, the goblin that she touches goes down. She had him basically Ginsu'd. He just cracked and just fell apart in a pool of blood and guts and everything else. And then used her intimidation to yell out, who's next? Who wants some? Basically, she rolls really high. Out of the 4 goblins left standing, she rolled like a 19. So 3 of the goblins, I rolled all to see if a morale check. 3 of the goblins rolled less than 5. So they take off. The 4th goblin, the one that was still up close to grappling, rolled a nat 20. He is not affected by this whatsoever. So he goes into the attack. So she beats him off a little bit. And then he looks around for his buddies and they're gone. So he's like, screw this, I'm out of here. So he takes off. She heals the changeling, who wakes up ready to fight, only to find 1 dead goblin in an empty room. But this dead goblin is in pieces. All in all, this was a fun little game to run. This was out of the Prepared 1, the book of the one-shot adventures that I talked about in a previous video. And it was a blast. They found They found no treasure in the room. They found the designs, Dib's impenetrable fortress, and or Dib's fortress design. So they find that little thing, and then they decided, all right, let's go track these goblins down. Unfortunately, they were unable to track the goblins. First level characters and goblins knew the area. So they decided to go back in with the other things and torch the rest of the fortress, the internal structures, and destroy it, collapse it down, and then go off on their merry way. But in the process of all of that, the ranger had lost one of his short swords. And we'll see if those goblins make a return, because the ranger wants his sword back. All in all, it was a very fun game. I enjoyed the compactness of it. It allowed for a little bit of stuff. I will say that the next time I run one of these little one-shots, I'll have a little bit more planned out in case they're wanting to go farther. But also with just 2 players, it worked out perfectly. So definitely check out those prepared games. So that is all I've got to talk about today. So remember, if you like these videos, please click on the like button. If you think someone else would like them, please click on the share button. Every like is an inspiration, every share is an advantage, and every subscription is an experience point. Help me gain 300 experience points so I can get to 2nd level. And as always, the AMDM does hereby authorize you, the viewer, to gain 10 experience points for every video that you share. Just tell your DM the AMDM said so. That is all I've got for now, guys, so go forth and roll some dice.